Quick question. Who amongst us is watching this track? Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. I think we're all watching. It's riveting. There's so much to unpack. So much. First off, is addiction on trial? Or is this a defamation case? There's been so much mention about addiction, whether it be alcohol or drugs, that it seems like this is about addiction and not defamation. And then the defamation is very tricky. I have a very unconventional and unique perspective on all of this that goes against the grain of what you'll hear and see online. The defamation part is interesting because it's sort of kind of like a he said, she said kind of thing. And it's really tricky because none of us are there. So we have to put ourselves there through listening, through watching body language, and through the testimony. Here's the thing though. I don't think Johnny Depp nor Amber Heard are lying. A lot of people are saying, oh, Amber Heard is lying. Johnny Depp is lying. No. I think they're both telling the truth. I think they're telling their truth. Because you see, in something like this, where there's abuse, both individuals can claim that they were abused. And that might be true in both perspectives, in both cases. Now, some people are saying Amber Heard is saying she didn't abuse Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp is saying he definitely received abuse. Now, this is really the thick of it. Did Amber Heard abuse Johnny Depp? Did what she did constitute domestic violence? This is really, really tricky. This is really tricky. This is one of those situations where it could go either way. I'm telling you, it's very close. And I had to really, really think about this. Because you have to admit and understand, you're not there. So everything that you are seeing and hearing is predicated on what the individual believes occurred to them. But remember, both of these two have admitted that when the abuse, most of the abuse was ongoing and happening, they were impaired. Either Johnny Depp was drunk, Amber Heard might have been high or drunk herself. So, if you're in an impaired state, if both individuals are in an impaired state, they could be both committing abuse and not even know it. That's how deep this is. Now, did Johnny Depp abuse Amber Heard? No question about it, yes. This is factually known. I don't think any reasonable individual can come to another conclusion. But the tricky part is when Amber Heard says she didn't abuse Johnny Depp. This is tricky. A lot of what happens, especially in this case, this is a very teachable moment for a lot of people. And I think that's why it's so riveting. Because it hits close to home with so many people. Now, Johnny Depp, he's a famous actor. We all know it. He's good at what he does. He's good at his craft. And he's a nice individual. He's not this horrible, evil person. But in this instant, what's being revealed is him at his worst. And so everybody is judging either Johnny Depp or Amber Heard in their worst moments. And remember, all this year, I've been defending artists, whether it's Will Smith, Alec Baldwin, Chris Rock. We've been defending artists because art is under attack. And this is another instance, clever albeit, where people are trying to choose up and take sides, to either prosecute and attack one artist over another. And I have a very unconventional way of seeing this. I don't think either one of them were actually bad individuals. They were bad at the circumstance and time that they met. And they were bad for each other in the moment. Follow me on this. Johnny Depp was struggling. He was an addict. And Amber Heard was struggling. This is someone who had a very traumatic childhood. By all accounts, she was a victim at a very early age of domestic violence. This is a fact. Now, to the extent of the domestic violence, we don't know. It is my opinion, based off of things that I don't want to reveal, that I believe that there might be some dark sexual energy surrounding the abuse. This is just my opinion. But what we do know is that there was domestic violence. Amber Heard's father was abusive towards her. And then you look at the situation. Johnny Depp is a much older individual. Is this a situation where Amber Heard is entering into this relationship to try to gain something, a victory, that she couldn't have when she was a child? Nobody talks about this question or this perspective. You know, we all know the adult children of alcoholics. They suffer. There's so much trauma there that's never really unpacked. And then as you go on to be an adult, and you go up, you try to reflect, and you try to change the individuals. You gravitate to certain individuals who already have an issue. Did Amber Heard gravitate to Johnny Depp simply because he did have an addiction that she was familiar with as a child? Did she try to save Johnny Depp? Help Johnny Depp in a way that she couldn't with her own father? Nobody's asking these questions. And then on Johnny Depp's end, you could clearly tell that he wanted to get sober. He wanted to do better for Amber. But we all know that's not the way addiction works. You can't try to get sober because someone else wants you to. You have to want to do it for yourself. So here it is, the individual that's got the addiction, Johnny Depp, and Amber Heard, the person that's trying to, force an individual to quit, to do away with their addiction. Now, the brain is a tricky organ in the body. Could it be the case that Amber Heard wanted Johnny Depp to quit drinking and to become sober? One, because the times when he was sober, she enjoyed it. And the times when he wasn't sober, it wasn't so pleasant. And two, could it be the case that she wanted to mold and shape Johnny Depp because she couldn't mold and shape her father when she was younger? If she had molded and shaped Johnny Depp and got him off the alcohol and drugs, it would have been a victory for her. A victory that she would have bragged about. To who? Her younger self. Her father. It would have been, look, Johnny Depp got clean. Why couldn't you, my own father, get clean? You know what I mean? So it's sort of kind of an internal struggle. And sometimes, when you're trying to demand something of someone else that they cannot deliver because they just can't get there themselves, that can be abusive to the other person. They can see that as abuse. You're demanding conformity when they just can't get there. Let's go to the love part. They say love is blind. Well, in this case, did they both love each other? Clearly, it seems like they did. I think Johnny Depp loved Amber Heard, and Amber Heard loved Johnny Depp. But there's a little bit of a problem here. And this is the teachable moment for all of the Americans and all the people watching around the world who are choosing sides. Please don't do this, because a lot of marriages They end because of this. And I'm fixing to tell you what this constitutes. Amber Heard loved Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp loved Amber Heard. They both admit this. But what they haven't admitted, and what you haven't heard, is whether Amber Heard loved herself, and whether Johnny Depp loved himself. And the reason you're not going to hear this is because they didn't. Amber Heard was not being kind to herself. Johnny Depp was not being kind to himself. So you can enter into a relationship with another individual. But if you don't like yourself, and you want the individual to like you, it's going to be hard for them to do so. That's why people try to mold and shape individuals. Because they want them to be like themselves. But how can you mold and shape Johnny Depp when Amber Heard herself was having an addiction issue? It's really tricky. It really is. You can't take sides in this one. Unless you're going to find fault on both sides. You would have to say both of them were abusive to each other. And that would actually be a fair assessment. That would be really fair. Because the relationship, for as long as it lasted, 4.5 years, close to 5 years, if you're with someone and they're abusing you for that long, there's only really one possibility. Both individuals get some fulfillment out of being abused. They weren't right for each other. And they knew this. But both of them were using each other to try to overcome something internally inside of themselves. And a lot of people do this. They stay in relationships with individuals to try to overcome something inside of themselves. And they ultimately end up losing. Now, here's the kicker. Did Johnny Depp and Amber Heard end up losing? No. They're both survivors. Think about this. 7 out of 10 people who struggle with alcoholism end up succumbing to the disease of alcohol. They transition, pass away. They have liver damage. They lose limbs. All kinds of horrible things happen. It's either 7 or 8 out of 10 people succumb to alcohol disease. So it's not good odds. It's not good odds at all. And then the adult children of alcoholics. It's a lifelong battle internally with yourself and with anybody else that you come into contact with. My thing is this. You can clearly tell that everything Amber Heard does for relationships is constituted and rooted back in the past childhood trauma of a relationship with her father. Look, she makes great choices when it comes to a lot of good things. But when it comes to relationships, she's just bad. No question about it. And now, that's no knock on her. It's just a fact. There's a lot of things we can all be great at. But then there's some things that we're just not so good at. With Amber, it's relationships. And then you have Johnny Depp, who's also not good at relationships. He's good at a lot of things. But relationships is just not one. He's been with a gazillion people, so you know he can't form good attachment. That's a clear example. When you've been with so many people, it means that you cannot bond so well. It doesn't mean that you can never bond. Because he was with Amber for 4.5 to 5 years. That's a long time. The average marriage, they say, lasts 3 years in America. So it's a long time that he was with her. But it was tumultuous. It was volatile. And it was violent. Sure, there were some pleasant, good experiences. But the overall picture of it was toxic. Now you have two individuals, Amber and Johnny, who are bad with relationships, in a relationship with each other. Ask yourself, how likely is that to be successful? Highly unlikely. I'm not saying it never works, but it's rare. Very rare. Another sign of this being, well, childhood trauma was about the dogs. You know, I don't want to put everybody's business out there, but if it's relevant to the public and it's publicly known, then it's already out there. Amber Heard's father is a convicted animal abuser. And I don't mean just like not feeding the animals, not feeding the dogs and all of those kind of things. No. I'm talking about having dogs violently fight and beating dogs. I'm talking about that type of abuse towards animals. And what did Amber do? When she won the dogs, Johnny Depp's dogs, she gave one of them to her father. He was almost like, here you go, Daddy. You can have this to abuse. So you no longer have to abuse me. That's the literal definition of a sacrifice. She sacrificed the animal. Now, it doesn't make Amber a bad person. I want you to understand this. This goes into karma. And this goes into a lot of people have this issue on this planet of being trapped in a karmic knot, a loop. Meaning their karmic energy is trapped. And they can't get out of that loop or trap. It's generational. And even though they do certain things to try to, well, shift their energy, they always revert back to the trauma and can't get out of it. Generally, this happens at a very early age. In adolescence, childhood trauma, you gotta look it up. They have a whole test, it's called ACEs. And if you score very high, which I think both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard would score very high on the ACEs test, you're likely to struggle throughout life with a lot of bad things. And like I said, it's no fault of either one of these individuals, because you have to judge matters by their intention. Did Amber Heard intend to hurt Johnny Depp? No. Was Johnny Depp's intention to hurt Amber Heard? No. But they both ended up hurting each other because they hadn't healed themselves. You know, being frank or being honest with an individual without some form of kindness is cruelty. Here's Amber Heard. She's steady telling Johnny Depp what you need to not do. You need to not do this. You need to not do this. But she's not displaying any kindness in that demand. So to Johnny Depp is solely coming across as cruelty. You're making a demand of me that I just cannot do. This is cruel. A lot of us do this. This is not just a Johnny and Amber situation. That's why I said I hope you're paying attention. Because you can see yourself in both of these too. You can definitely see yourself in both of these two. We should never also forget that alcohol is a spiritual disease. If you're an alcoholic, it's an addiction. And all addiction really is masking something. It's masking the root cause of something internal inside of you. All addiction is this. Drug addiction, alcohol, sex addiction, whatever the addiction, all addiction is a spiritual disease, masking something internally inside of you. And unless you get to the root cause of what you're trying to mask, then your addiction overwhelms your body. And that becomes your coping mechanism. Your mask, so to speak. Now, Amber Heard is a very kind individual. She's kind to a lot of people who are marginalized and oppressed in our society. She's very kind. But you can tell that Amber has never been kind to herself. You know, you can be loving to all the people in the world, but if you don't love yourself, it shows. You know, when I watched the testimony in the trial, especially Amber Heard, I can tell a couple of things. The first thing is Amber Heard is someone who knows that she's attractive to the general society. Everyone has told Amber that she's super attractive. And it's not a lie. So she knows this. But that's sort of kind of a crutch too. Because if somebody just tells you you're attractive or you're ugly, the opposite of it, those are very superficial things. Nobody just wants to hear all the time they're attractive or they're ugly. They want to hear more detail. But with Amber, you can tell that most people have always said she's attractive. And that's been the gist of it. That's it. And you can tell that she's frustrated with this. It's sort of kind of a trap. Because you want to be known for just being attractive. You want to be known for being more than that. You know, this was Marilyn Monroe's issue too. She was so sick of this bullshit. All the guys in Hollywood would say, Marilyn Monroe, you're super beautiful, you're attractive, you're this, you're that. And she's like, but I'm talented too. I possess these skills too. But nobody else would compliment that. They would just talk about the physical. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people that are physically attractive, they feel that that's a curse. Because that's all the general society will ever look and see and know of them. They won't think anything of their skills, their abilities, their wit. Now, Amber Heard is brilliant. Very, very, very brilliant. I'm telling you this. And she's a really good dancer. Most people don't know this. Oh yes, Amber Heard can pop drop it. I'm telling you, that woman is very good on the dance floor. One of my fundamental issues with Los Angeles, let's just say this, one of my fundamental issues with Los Angeles and Tinseltown is this. Everyone in Tinseltown who's an entertainer, broadly speaking, you ask them, what do you do for fun? Well, I love acting, I love music. But remember, an entertainer, that's how they make their income, their livelihood. Through acting, dancing, music, all of those things. So you ask them, what do you do for fun? If what you do for fun is the same thing that you do to make an income and a livelihood, ask yourself, does that thing still remain fun? Because if you have to do it, is it fun? It might bring you joy, but is it fun? A lot of entertainers get trapped in this bubble of just doing their entertainment craft and finding that to be fun and enjoyable. But there's nothing outside of that. It's like a bubble. Now I have some unconventional modalities when it comes to royal pains. And royal pains really constitute three things. Some people say more, but I really think it's three. It's your brain, your heart, and your spirit. Those are the royal pains. Now, because Los Angeles is such a bubble, you gotta get out of Los Angeles from time to time. I don't care how great Los Angeles is. You gotta get out of Los Angeles. People huff and argue non-stop about this recommendation. I say, sure, Los Angeles is great. But the planet is bigger than Los Angeles. You gotta get out of Los Angeles. It's a bubble. I didn't say you gotta get out of Los Angeles and never come back. But I said you gotta get out of Los Angeles. Because, oddly enough, if you stay in Los Angeles, you tend to have issues that when you leave Los Angeles, you think, oh wait, my issues are not the most pressing issues on the planet. You know, like the vast majority of people on the planet live on less than $2 US per day. Most people in Los Angeles don't live on less than $2 per day. So you're in a bubble. The other thing is not just leaving. It's finding joy in something. You know, my recommendation would be you leave Los Angeles. You just leave Los Angeles for like maybe 90 days. And you go, well, somewhere you've never been. A lot of people think, wait a minute, that's bad advice. You don't go places you've never been before. But it's really good advice. But it's scary. Again, if you're in a bubble and you've never left your bubble, that can be scary. So you go somewhere for 90 days. That's not Los Angeles. Instantaneously, you'll be like, wow, why didn't I do this before? Now, specifically, and this is a general recommendation, meaning you don't have to follow this recommendation. It's very general. What I would recommend for Amber Heard to do is to buy a plane ticket and go to Ghana. Yes, spend 90 days in Ghana. You don't know anyone there. And nobody really knows you. And that's a good thing. A lot of people think that would be a horrible thing. Why would you go somewhere where nobody knows you? Precisely for that reason. Because no matter how many good friends you have in Los Angeles, everybody knows you. You're the talk of the town. So sometimes you have to leave and go where nobody knows you. And then you're free to do things that you wouldn't do. You're free to go and dance and have fun. You're free to go and meet new people. Try new food. A lot of people diminish these things, these small little things. But they're huge. If you want to reorientate your brain, if you want to reprogram your brain, if you want to try to relieve trauma of your brain, you have to do new things. If you do the same old things, you're going to have the same old thoughts. The whole saying is thoughts are things. You spend some time in Ghana. You relax yourself. Find somebody that's going to lather you up with nice lotion. Good fragrance lotion. They're going to rub it all over your body. You're now being kind to your whole self. You're having a new experience. Just those little small things make a huge difference. A lot of people don't think about it like that. They say, purple. I know things here. I don't know anything there. That's detrimental advice that you're giving me. Well, for the individuals who would say such a thing, they're oftentimes the individuals who do the same thing and then complain about the same thing that they do. Have you ever met anyone like this? And I know a lot of you have. A person that just complains all the time about how miserable they are. I don't like this, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. And then you start to sense and gain a pattern with their complaint. Their complaint is based off of the same complaint that they had the day before. It's literally the same complaint. And the next day, they're going to complain about the same thing that they complained about yesterday. And I stop them oftentimes. And I say, wait a minute. You had this same complaint yesterday. And now you're complaining about it today. Do you not realize that the complaint you had yesterday and today are the same? Do you not realize why you have the same complaint? Because you did the same thing. You did nothing new. So your complaint is always going to be the same. Amber's fundamental issue is the relationship she had with her father. It was troubled. It was toxic. In any type of relationship you get into, you're looking to try to fix your original one. So you can't get into relationships that way. You can't meet the same clientele. And a lot of times what adult children of alcoholics will do, they'll gravitate to other adults who had other troubled issues with their parents. And I tell people that seldom, if often, never works. You want to avoid that at all costs. You really, really want to avoid that. Because what's the conversation going to always be? It's going to be a trauma-based conversation. What you have in common is shared trauma. So really, when you share your trauma, it's like you're reliving it. The reason Amber has a lot of issues with relationships is because she gravitates to individuals that have issues themselves with their childhood. And that's not good, because the conversation is going to be trauma-based. And you're always going to be reliving the trauma. You got to make a clean break with trauma. It's a lifelong battle to do this. People say therapy, counseling. Yes, all of those things work. But there's no silver bullet, so to speak. There's no magical fairy that's going to fix this. The battle is mental. Now, when you put addiction and mental health together, that's a way out cocktail that nobody wants to ingest. I'm just telling you this. Is there mental health issues with Amber Heard? Of course there is. Is there mental health issues with Johnny Depp? Of course there is. Johnny Depp did not have a childhood. Amber Heard did not have a childhood. Just because someone is gifted and great at their craft doesn't mean that they don't have struggles. What I don't like about the general society when it comes to artists is this unfair critique that because someone is famous and they are fluent, that they should have no struggles and their life should be like living on Gilligan's Island. You're just happy all the time. Now, if that's not your reality, and that's not 99.999% of anyone you know's reality, then why should that be the expectation just because you work out in Tinseltown? I don't like how the American general society treats entertainers. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. We treat entertainers like they're not human. That's always been one of my biggest pet peeves, and why I really go out of my way to defend artists. Because anyone with an IQ over room temperature knows that an artist, literally by definition, an artist is gifted. And when you have a lot of gifts, it also comes with a lot of baggage. Every artist is struggled. Art is not some straight line that never deviates. Some of the best artists are the most troubled. This is what makes them really good at their craft. I think you have to show grace as a society. And I think artists themselves have to show grace and kindness to themselves. Look, Amber Heard is a survivor. Fuck what you say. You can say all the mean things you want online. Most of the trolls and the mean posting about Amber Heard comes from individuals who probably have worse character and do far worse things than Amber Heard. Amber Heard has done a lot of good things. A lot of the people posting about Amber Heard have probably done a lot of bad things. So I don't really get into this whole loop about what people say about other people who they don't know. I think it's ridiculous. You can pick sides all you want. I'm not picking sides. I think Johnny Depp was struggling with addiction. And now he's getting help. Ask yourself, would he have become sober without Amber Heard? Probably not. No way, Jose. You know how many women he's been with? He never wanted to get sober until after Amber Heard. So something she did, the persistence, that shit worked. At least for Johnny Depp. He's hanging around people who are sober. Robert Downey Jr., Elton John. He wants to be a better person. You can thank Amber Heard for this, because she did it. Did Johnny Depp make Amber Heard a better person? Yes. She's no longer tied into the relationship of her past self, her childhood self. She can no longer use this as a crutch anymore. You listen to the tape. This is after supposedly Johnny Depp committed domestic violence. And she's begging Johnny, please don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. This is a child begging not to have her father abandon her. Johnny Depp was blurred into her father. It was about abandoning and fixing Johnny Depp the way she couldn't fix her father. Any fair-minded observer will tell you this. Fuck what you say. A lot of these individuals that give commentary are not fair-minded. They're not impartial. They're biased as fuck. A lot of them are misogynist as fuck. So anytime there's the slightest perception that a woman has done something wrong in our society, oh, they're going to go overboard. They're going to go overboard, over the top. I look at this shit online and I'm like, these individuals are crazy. Amber Heard received domestic violence by Johnny Depp. Nobody can dispute this. Amber Heard was abused by her father. Nobody can dispute this. So she has every reason and right to dislike men. But her disdain for disliking men is not going to solve her childhood trauma. The two issues are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, I go to Ghana. I get lathered up. I let somebody lather me up with lotion. Rub me down. I'd sit on the beach and enjoy the waves with the water crashing in. I would do something different that I don't generally do to reorientate my whole body to something new, something foreign, something beneficial to me. You know, they say if you aren't kind to yourself, you can never be truly kind to anyone else. I'm a firm believer in this theory. Yes, you can show kindness to other people, but the other individual is going to be like, you never show any kindness to yourself. If they're really a good friend, they're going to tell you this. They're going to be like, you never really do anything for yourself. When's the last time you've treated yourself? They're going to say this if they're really good friends. Because they're going to see that your energy is low from time to time. Or oftentimes. And they're going to say, we got to do something for you. You're always doing something for us. It's time we take care of you. Ooh. Amber Heard is still young. She's 38. She's still got a lot of time to repair scars that occurred to her when she was a child. It's nothing you can do about your past. This is one, really, don't let this go over your head. This one is key. It's nothing you can do about your past. And your past is anything that happens that you've already done. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can change is your present and your future. People can say, oh, this individual was horrible 10 years ago. But if the individual is not horrible now, you got to talk about their present. You can't just focus on their past. Because their comeback to that would be, it's nothing I can do about my past. It's in the past. And don't let anybody shame or blame you for your past. Because the individuals choosing to shame and blame other people for their past generally don't have a good past themselves. Or they should worry about making their present better so their future can be better. What I'm trying to say is, if everyone worried about themselves, we would have very few problems on this planet. Oftentimes, people worry about other people's issues and don't focus on their own. It's amazing. It simply is amazing. Generally speaking, when I critique an individual, it's because I have all my ducks in a row. And therefore, I can offer constructive feedback. I never just go out here willy-nilly pulverizing individuals like you see some of these commentators do. Oh, you thought I was going to pick sides between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You thought I was going to say Amber Heard is the best and Johnny Depp is the worst, or Johnny Depp is the best and Amber Heard is trash. You thought I was going to do this shit. Why? Because that's what you do? No. I'm very deliberative, very thoughtful, and I analyze everything to a T. They weren't right for each other. Like a lot of couples in the United States are not right for each other. They stayed with each other far too long. Like a lot of couples in the United States stayed with each other for far too long. Look, the first time somebody hits you or assaults you, bounce. Fuck what they say. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. Fuck what they say. Because if they did it once, they'll most certainly do it again. There's 9 billion people on this planet. Never put up with one individual who wants to abuse you. There's too many fish literally in the ocean to put up with one individual who wants to abuse you. The first time they lay hands on you, you bounce. You ghost them. Oh, I'm Casper the Ghost if you touch me. You can apologize to all the mountains collapse on themselves. I'm done. There's just too many fish in the ocean. Look. If there were like 10 people on the entire planet, I still wouldn't stay. But there's 9 billion? And you want me to stay with your fucking ass? And you're the one punching and slapping and throwing things at me? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. And I think if more people had that type of philosophical outlook and self-worth about themselves, domestic violence would be almost an insignificant thing. A lot of times domestic violence comes down to self-worth of the individual. They're like, I'm not worth anything. So that's why this individual is allowed to treat me the way they do. Because I don't have good self-esteem about myself. It goes back to what I said earlier. Amber Heard has never been kind to herself. Oh, she's demonstrated kindness to everyone else, but never to herself. Amber, when are you going to go to the beach and sit in the sun and enjoy yourself? When are you going to let someone lather you up with lotion and treat you nice? Because you know good and well, the individuals you enter into relationships with, it's all about gratifying them. And very seldom is it about gratifying you. And she gravitates to this due to issues in her childhood. And if people know this about you, they oftentimes can take advantage of you. And this is oftentimes what occurs. People will take advantage of individuals, especially women in our society, who have experienced childhood trauma. It's sad, but it's a reality. Did Johnny Depp take advantage of Amber Heard? No, I don't think so. I don't think that was his intention at all. I really don't. Did Amber Heard take advantage of Johnny Depp? No, I don't think that was her intention at all. Were they bad for each other? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Did they love each other? Yes, absolutely. But just because you love someone and they love you. If you know that you're toxic for each other, it's not going to work. You know, I think there's a famous old fable about a scorpion and a horse. The horse saved the scorpion, and the scorpion stung the horse. The horse died, and the scorpion died. And they both went to heaven. And the horse asked the scorpion, "Why did you sting me?" And the scorpion said, "It's Dharma. It's what I do." Look, don't be shocked or surprised if two individuals will struggle with domestic violence, abuse each other, you have to really overcome and have victory in your mind. Perseverance and victory in your mind is the key to overcoming violence. Once you've conquered your own mind, once you've been kind to your own body, you won't let anybody else abuse you. It'll be the water off of a duck's back. You think I give a fuck what these critics have to say about me? I don't give a fuck. You have to be kind to yourself before you can truly help anyone else that's not being kind to themselves. Amber Heard was trying to be kind to Johnny Depp by showing him tough love, telling him he needs to overcome his addiction. And she wanted him to overcome his addiction so she could overcome her childhood trauma. So she could say, "Look, 5-year-old Amber, I made Johnny Depp do something. I made him get clean and sober. I've accomplished a victory that I couldn't accomplish when I was a kid. I've done it as an adult." That was her whole mentality with Johnny Depp. Everything was in essence about overcoming childhood trauma. You have to forgive yourself for things that you have no control over. In order for Amber Heard to be really, really a great individual, she's going to have to forgive herself for what occurred when she was a child, because she had no control over it. You have to forgive yourself for when you have no control over something. Now, when you have control over something, that's the only time that you're really going to be judged for anything. You can't be judged for something if someone else who had control over you abused you. You can only be judged when you have control over something else. and you abuse something else. So a lot of people get hung up on this. They can't forgive themselves. A lot of people get hung up on that. And I think this is a good lesson and a good reminder. You have to be kind to yourself. Kindness is key. It's imperative. And there are no sides to take. When two people who have received and experienced abuse end up unknowingly, because I do think a lot of it was subconscious. Amber Heard lecturing and demanding that Johnny Depp stop doing something and become sober. She didn't knowingly try to abuse him. It was subconscious. I don't even know if she knows that she abused him. She fundamentally doesn't believe that she abused him. Because in her mind, her outlook is that she was trying to assist him, help him. And Johnny Depp, when you're an addict, when you're addicted to something, is that really you that's doing the abuse? Or is it something outside of you, a different spirit in you that's doing the abuse? This is why alcohol, you really have to be careful with it. They call it spirits for a reason. Because it brings up different spirits inside of you. You have good spirits and bad spirits in you. Everybody does. And sometimes when you ingest a lot of alcohol, you can bring up bad spirits. The spirit of anger and resentment, rage, and toxicity. Johnny Depp definitely displayed those spirits. And he displayed them towards Amber Heard. But it was subconscious. He didn't knowingly do it. And you can tell this is the case because when he was sober, he didn't behave this way. If he had to behave the same way when he was sober as he did intoxicated, I would have said, okay. It wasn't subconscious. It was intentional. So you can tell there's two sides. There's a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde to Johnny Depp. So the intentionality of both individuals was never to harm each other. Even though that's exactly what they did to each other. So how the fuck do you want me to choose sides between that shit? You can be Team Johnny. You can be Team Amber. But don't ask someone like me to join teams. Not in situations like this. I've gone through this shit before. I was in San Jose. And I had two friends. And I was friends with both of them. I had done things with both of them. And then when they entered into a relationship, I was happy. But when they broke up, this is what was interesting. When they broke up with each other, they both tried to, present an argument that the other person was terrible to me. And I told them both the same thing, albeit in separate situations. I said I can't say anything negative about the other person because I have a different experience. And I said whatever happened in your union with that person, I can't take sides about. I can only take sides about the experience I've had with both of you. And it's been nothing but pleasant and cordial. They couldn't believe it. Do you know they still stayed friends with me, even though they didn't talk with each other? And when we speak, I don't talk about the other person. I just talk about my time and experience with them. This is another lesson. Young people, listen to me. Don't let anybody make you choose sides. If you have mutual friends, you stay neutral. You remain neutral. Because what you'll do, in essence, is ruin a friendship that you need not ruin. Your experience and interface with an individual is your unique experience and interface with that individual. Just because someone else had a bad experience has nothing to do with your experience with that individual. I like Johnny Depp and I like Amber Heard. You know, if they had spent more time doing things together, but giving back, maybe working at an animal shelter or working with the unhoused population, working to teach underserved and marginalized community arts and acting, if they had done that together, I think their relationship could have lasted. Because it sounds like when they were together, when they were alone, that was when things soured. But when they were doing their own thing, acting, doing something they enjoyed, that was when their relationship blossomed. So let that also be a lesson too. Do things that give you fulfillment outside of just the individual and being around the individual. Like I said, Amber Heard is a great dancer. She should teach dancing. Open up a dance studio. You have to find things that's going to give you meaning and purpose and joy and happiness. You have to try to remain positive all the time. And that's difficult when there's so much negativity. But it's true. Positive energy all the time. Don't let external factors dampen your energy. Because they'll certainly try to do so. If you find yourself slipping into the negative, get quickly back into the positive. It's amazing. I said this before. When you're negative, you cannot see positive. You see it in society when people are fighting and upset. There's no positivity in them. You see rage and hatred. Don't let that be you. No, my advice is unconventional. Go to Ghana. Get a rub down, a full body lotion rub down, Amber. Sit in the sun. Go to the beach. Enjoy yourself. Be kind to yourself. And for the rest of you watching this trial, all of you, humans and animals, apparently alpacas are watching the trial too, and owls. Take note and learn some things. Learn that addiction is a spiritual disease. Learn that addiction, while we have treatment and AA, that's not enough. We should take alcohol and drugs and cigarettes seriously in our society. You know, at one point in time we did. And for the last couple of decades, it's sort of kind of like we have tools available. So we don't take addiction as seriously as we should. Just as many people are still succumbing to addiction, if not more. But because we think we have tools in place, we don't take it that seriously anymore. And I think that's a mistake. It's a spiritual disease. And when you're dealing with a spiritual disease, you have to be kind to the individual that's going through it. I think that's my biggest takeaway. Amber Heard was not kind to Johnny Depp. Whether she abused him or not, that's open for your interpretation. She wasn't kind to him. That's a fact. Lecturing and scolding someone who's struggling with a spiritual disease, it's not helpful whatsoever. Because you tell me not to drink, and you tell me how horrible I am, and you take photos and videos of me when I'm at my worst, that's not going to make me stop my addiction. Raise your hands if you think that that's true. Nobody ever will. So she wasn't kind to Johnny Depp. And he certainly wasn't kind to her. We should learn from this. We should take note. And as much as possible, we should try to avoid being put in those same situations and circumstances. So less judging, Americans. More observation.